discussion program on Blessed Radio. I'm in southeast London, and the weather here, well, it's dark now. I will call it cold. I think it's been about 6 degrees centigrade here. And with me, as usual, is Gregory. Gregory, how are you, and how is the weather where you are?
One is very fine, but it's as cold as it is in London.
Okay, very good. Welcome, listeners, to this spiritual discussion program. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And every week we have a new topic for discussion. The topic tonight is the creative human being. The creative human being. You are welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail Message? The Grail Message in the Light of Truth by Uprushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life. For through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail Message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover through the intuitive perception if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail Message, Uprushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail Message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole without leaving any gaps. Again and again in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail Message lives so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with seven seals. And I'd like to give you one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic that we are discussing tonight is the creative human being. The creative human being. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 00447939641958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one other way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. And there, if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. You can type in any questions or comments there. Now, Gregory, you know I like to look up the meaning of the words in the topic. So again, to remind everyone, the topic tonight is the creative human being. So the first word there, of course, the key word is creative. Now, I looked that up in the dictionary and I got this one: relating to or involving the use of the imagination or original ideas to create something. And Gregory, I know you're going to say, well, the word create is already there in this definition. So I'm going to bring that up in a minute. But let's just look at this meaning, Gregory. Creative, relating to or involving the use of the imagination or original ideas to create something. How good is this definition, Gregory, for our discussion?
Like you said, you already have an idea about the answers, because the discussion must be objective. Therefore, if a topic or a definition that refers to itself does not really give the picture that we are looking for, however, it's still a pointer.
Right. So it's a pointer. So there can be, what you're saying, the definition there, they're pointing to imagination as one angle or aspect involving imagination. And the other one they're mentioning, well, they use the word creative, create. So let me, Gregory, go to that word create. Let me just go to that word. So the word create in the dictionary, it says bring something into existence. Is that right? Is that a good definition there for the word create?
Again, that is a pointer.
Okay.
To bring something into existence from where?
Right. Good point. Good question. Okay, from where? Creative. It's yeah, because if you're creating, it's coming from, the question first has to be, where is it coming from? Gregory, before we jump into that one, I want to still carry on with the meanings of the words in the topic. So the next word is human, and there it says a bipedal primate mammal, Homo sapiens, a person, man. I know it might sound stupid, but is that a good definition there, Gregory?
My reflection is that maybe expressions should be used which convey a more definite meaning expressions which we are familiar with. With the word primate, that is going towards the animal world instead of the world of the human personality.
Right. So we want to distinguish the human from the animal. And by using that word primate, it's making us humans sound like an animal. Um, so we want to distinguish that. Okay. I mean, there's a species they mention, Homo sapiens. So that is not. I don't know if that is that a little too much a technical word there, Gregory? Would you say?
It may be well, it's technical, but most of these um, have been put together intellectually without deep reflection, and that has always been the problem in many cases, because before long you find that it doesn't lead to any meaningful experience. Debates come in, whereas if it were wholly precise, then the individual is able to differentiate precisely instead of start including all sort of things which don't even belong there.
Right. Would you like to talk about this? How can I say, clarify a more clear definition, give a more clear definition now, or shall we continue?
Let us continue.
Okay. The next word is being. And then the meaning given in the dictionary, I've got two meanings for the word being. One is existence. Um, so human being, somebody that exists, I guess, a person, being that exists. That's what I think they're talking. What do you say about that, Gregory? That meaning there.
Yes, it is helpful,
Okay.
but in that, again, a bit cloudy.
Right.
Human being that exists, where does it exist? That has not been discussed.
Right. They give another meaning for the word being. It is nature, the nature or the essence of a person. And they give an example on that. Sometimes one aspect of our being has been developed at the expense of the others. So
You
yeah,
will find that being, the way it's being used, is that which exists and is continuous. And so that is what is being referred to in that particular case.
mm. Okay. You know what we'll do? We'll continue, and things will hopefully become more clear as we go. Um, Now, I decided to also look up the word imagination. I know it's not in the title, but I just thought I would do that because the meaning of the word in the dictionary for creative, it says relating to or involving the use of imagination. So I said, let us think what is imagination, the meaning. And again, in the dictionary, I've got two meanings this for imagination. First one, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of existence. Um, sorry, no, images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. So let me repeat that. So this is meaning of imagination, the first one, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects not present to the senses. Well, is that how good is this one now, Gregory?
Again, these things, if it had used thoughts, using our thoughts to form concepts, new concepts, that is more of an imagination. So, since if it is linked to thoughts, because our imagination basically are thoughts sometimes in which we put things together. So one would prefer the expression thoughts, as the basis of one's imagination rather than talking about faculty, which it looks quite remote instead of our thoughts. Everybody thinks. Everyone can have an imagination. So when the thoughts are linked to it, then it brings it home.
Thank you. And there's another meaning given for the word imagination, the ability of the mind to be creative or resourceful. So, yeah. Is that any good as well, Gregory?
Like have been stressed, these words, these expressions can be nebulous. The question I will ask myself is what is mind?
Mind.
Then one will go ahead and say, okay, fair enough, mind is this. It could be accepted, but when one needs to reflect properly, some of these things seem too unreal for one to hold on to. So it becomes more like an academic exercise rather than something in which something that will be of benefit to the human personality.
Okay. So, I'm going to now what I decided to do, Gregory. I know because we have this AI now, or Google AI, let me call it. So I decided to just type with that in Google, the creative human being. I typed that there, and it came up with this one. A creative person is someone who can use their imagination to come up with new and valuable ideas or works. They can think outside the box, combine different concepts, and find new ways to solve problems. Creative people may be described as innovative, imaginative, or visionary. Now, Gregory, is that any good? How can I say? Yeah, how good is this one? Is a description.
These are descriptions.
Hmm. Okay.
Descriptions do not go to the essence.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's a good point. Description and essence. I'm just noting this now. So now, Gregory, I'd like to. I think you said it just now, or a little bit now earlier. Where does this creativity come from? If I remember you right, uh, was it? Is that what you said? I've forgotten actually. I can't remember.
Yes, I said
Yeah, you
the
did. Yeah.
origin. Yeah.
Origin of this creativity. Where does it come from? So, okay, let's go to that straight away, Gregory. So, um, I mean, I could say that creativity doesn't have to be exclusive for human beings. It can be other beings who can also be creative. And maybe that's the right point to distinguish again this one. So, where does creativity come from, Gregory?
Basically, it stems from the individual intuitions of the personality.
Mm, okay, individual intuition. And that's not the same as imagination, right? Because you said imagination is concerned with thoughts. So intuition and thoughts are two different, very different things. Okay. This intuition, Gregory, could it be to do with our will? Because um, we want something. I say that. That's not always we want something, but let's say there's times when we want something. So is that, which is our will, you could say, our will says we want this. Now, is that the intuition?
Will is a decision.
Okay,
Which
right.
decision, the roots of that decision could be from one's intuition, could be from one's thoughts, or from one's deeds.
Okay, so now I see there's a difference. So the intuition is not really our will. It's not a decision. Um, it is something that I was going to use the word sense, Gregory. There's something that you sense, and I think we need to clarify all these concepts clearly now before we go too far and maybe get lost, confuse ourselves, and lose our way. So I want to get that clear now. So let's look at this intuition. Is it a sense there, Gregory? Is it some sort of sense? Can you give us a bit of a picture of what is intuition?
The intuition is an activity of the spirit which then propagates in waves.
Hmm. Okay. So, activity of the spirit, I see.
Yes.
Okay. Could you call it like an inner voice? Because somehow I feel it as a sense. I say I feel it. I think of it as a sensing, something you sense that I don't know exactly how to put it in a more precise way. Um, but is it something like a sense there, Gregory?
One is reluctant to tie the intuition to sense in the well within the context that if one were to do that, then there is the categorization. Think, okay, the sense of smell, the sense of touch, the sense of this. That is not the case. It's a picture which is without words. It's an
Impression.
impression
Yes.
which strikes the individual. That impression will only strike that which is of the same homogeneity. So one is being careful to remove it from sense because we are familiar with the five senses. So if one says sense, then the question will be, okay, which sense is this? Is this the sense of smell or touch, of taste? Then it becomes no.
Mm.
Therefore, one should leave it as an impression which has an impact, or which should have an impact on one's back brain, or which in turn will have an impact on one's frontal brain, which is the seat of one's thoughts, and the impression and subsequently one's frontal brain should have an impact on one's deeds, which are perceptible using the five senses. But again, one should immediately add that sometimes, or not sometimes, many times, our thoughts are at variance with our deeds. In the case where you wish to deceive people, your deeds will be what people see as your deeds is one, whereas your thoughts are in another direction. So you find that that's the case of deception. And it means, therefore, the thoughts are not in agreement with one's deeds. Just as you have the scenario where the thoughts are not in agreement or do not resonate with one's deeds, there is also the scenario where one's intuitive perceptions are not in agreement with one's thoughts. In the scenario where one's intuitive perceptions resonate with one's thoughts and one's thoughts resonate with one's deeds, then that becomes a miracle because many things can then be accomplished.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer and the picture you've painted for us in this. question about intuition. So it's about the activity of the spirit, and it's an impression. And impression, with this impression, one can go in one direction or another direction. As we said, with the free will, we make a decision this way or that way. So, but first, this impression is there. Um, so, thank you for that uh, picture. Giving us the right concept of this intuition, um, and that's where this creativity starts. You can say. Okay, so now, and then you've also mentioned about thoughts. I just want to recap all these things. The thoughts which come from our mind, which are, let's say, follow on, you could say. Not follow on, maybe. That's maybe not quite right. But they're not the beginning, you could say, of us. They don't come from the spirit as such. They're just, you could say, floating around. And but the impression is what the spirit really, you could say, receives or puts out. So yes, that's more the starting point. I'm just trying to get this clear so that we can, when we go deeper into that topic, we can really recognize these points. Okay. Now, Gregory, there's another question I have, which is about inspiration. Um, is that an impression as well? I mean, inspiration, it can come by somebody does something, you observe that, and then you are inspired by what they have done. Uh, or you could receive an inspiration. They say sometimes you dream, overnight. You get a dream, and that sort of inspires you, like a vision. Some people might call it, uh, and that's what sort of moves you to do something. So I can see that in creativity, you will be inspired. So is inspiration is it part of creativity? You said intuition, the creativity comes from the intuition, but is there something, can we receive from other people, Gregory, inspiration? And can that help with creativity or make creativity? I'm not being very good in my question, but I hope you're getting some point I'm trying to make there, just about other, not coming only from you. That's what I'm saying. The impression, we know we get an impression, our own impression, but what can we have an inspiration which can lead to creativity?
Inspiration in itself, there is an example which one uses. That example could be from nature, that could be from a personality. So you'll find that in the case of inspiration, there's an object sitting out there, which we try to identify with. And that then triggers the individual to reflect further and deeper in order to discover or in order to awaken to all the impressions that are floating around. So that's what inspire itself. There is an external model, which could be nature, it could be a person, it could be a work of art, it could be a work of science or whatever. So that is a starting point. Whereas with the intuition that is mentioned here, these puts external points, if one at all may use. This comes straight from the spirit. It's not, most of the time when the intuition hits you, it takes time to grasp the framework, to grasp what is happening. Whereas in the case of inspiration, you find you already have an idea. You have something there which you already use as an object, and you are building upon it. So that's how it goes. But they can be very close. And most of the time, once you try to grasp these things in a pictorial form, which is wholesome, rather than looking at them in bits, which are so far apart. It is best if one holds on to one's intuitions in the first case. Inspiration, something has to inspire you. In the case of inspiration, something has to, trigger that, most likely an external or maybe an experience. Whereas that which is from the spirit, which comes from within, comes directly through one's intuition.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for that. Again, clarifying and giving this concept very clearly. I've got some comment from a listener. Maybe I will go ahead and say this one now. It says, a creative human being is someone who comes up with new ideas and uses their creativity to produce something unique. What would you say on that one, Gregory? Anything to say?
That's also a pointer.
Okay, good. I'm going to now just let the listeners know that this is Bless Radio, and this is the spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that. www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the creative human being. The creative human being. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp again. And there's another way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting, that is blessradio1, the number 1.com. And if you scroll down on the home page, you'll see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I've said, we are broadcasting on blessradio1, the number 1.com. You can also listen to us on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space live stream. That is for our live show, which we broadcast on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to a recording of this show the next day, again on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number 1 again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the creative human being. And of course, you can listen to recordings of our previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO .fm /Bless Radio 1. That's the number one. Now, Gregory, we talked about intuition, inspiration. And it looks like there are some ideas that we have which are our own ideas, which looks like coming from the intuition. And then there's other ideas that we have which are influenced by others, which could be the inspiration. And so my point on that is this thing about creativity. Actually, the listener made a comment about unique ideas. Let me just go and read again. They said, oops. Okay, creative human being is someone who comes up with new ideas and uses their creativity to produce something unique. Okay. So it looks like, Gregory, nothing really is original. It's you're receiving, like you said, an impression, which we don't know the origin of where that is coming from, and then we, you said earlier on, we mentioned the will, which makes a decision. So you see something, or you hear something. I don't know what I have to put those words in quotes. Something, you sense it. I was going to use the word sense it. You pick up, let's say, an idea. That's the way I can say, and then you decide, let's say, to implement or not implement, which is a decision. But I'm sorry, I want to go back to the idea. I just want to ask Gregory, is there an idea that we have completely our own making, or is it always like I use the word influence? Is that right? Can we have a unique idea of our own, or is it that always we get something from somewhere else?
Strictly speaking, if one were to examine it most objectively, we ourselves came into existence through the substances that already existed. Therefore, we should ask, to whom do these substances belong? In that case, you will find that all that we are, or we claim to be, or we wish to be, there have been other influences in the fashioning even of our own expressions. That is why we are individuals. And that is the same reason you find that there are commonalities. The commonalities, when one is referring to human personalities, 5 senses, that which is human is endowed with talents. One of these talents is that of the free will. You cannot call grass human, neither can you call a building human. You cannot call the animal human. However, that which you refer to as a human is endowed with the free will to make decisions spiritually, to make decisions using the thoughts, to make decisions in the deeds. Under this framework, under this perspective, can one grasp what the human personality is?
Thank you very much, Gregory, for this answer. And again, the picture you're painting for us. Um, Basically, we're working to, let's say, learn or discover this process of creativity, and and you already said that we have, in quotes, been created through things that already exist already. So um, it's like nothing is really original. It is something based on something else. Um, so, but the word creative gives some idea that um, well, maybe it's just our own idea that is original when we think of the word creative. Um, and it doesn't mean it's a creative, it just means creative just means to create, isn't it? Um, um, Gregory,
I thought, I thought to create basically, in its essence, only means to use the materials or the substances which is already present to put it together to have something different from what has been there. That is what create really means. But something was originally there, and that's the substances.
right.
If there is nothing there, then there's no creation. What is now being referred to as creativity is um, that motion of using that which already exists, of joining them together, rearranging them such that what has now been produced was not there. The form which has now been produced was not there. That is it's just basically a change of forms. That is what is referred to as creativity. That expression, creativity, which the human personality uses. Because, like he said, if the elements, if the substances were not there, the individual hasn't got the capacity to bring that substance which is not already there. Those units already existed. However, in joining them together, in rearranging them together in accordance with the laws of creation, then we have different forms. That is what many times the many refer to as creativity. Just like in music, it doesn't mean that the drums and the trumpets were not there. It doesn't mean the sounds were not there, but the basic sounds, do, re, mi, fa, ton, la, ti, do, has already been there, but now you are rearranging the whole thing to produce something new. So it's already, that's what one is referring to.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. The picture is getting more clear as we go along. And when you mentioned music, I was thinking of that as creative arts. That's people think of it like that. creative arts. It can be music, it can be painting, it can be poetry, literature. This type of activity is known as arts. And there, yeah, the ideas are just put together, you know, the story or whatever, music is notes, and as you pointed to, they exist already, but then they're being put together to form something in quotes new, um, which is different from, like the little elements are being put together to make a sentence, if I can say like that, or a musical song or, tune. So that
Correct.
yeah, so that's all making sense now. But we humans are the ones doing that, you know. So and we choose it. That's the will, isn't it? We decide this one, not that one. We have a choice in this way matter. Now, okay. Um, Now, Gregory, well, there's so many questions on it. No two people are the same way in thinking, in even creativity or whatever. Each person will make his own tune, you could say. Um, so I'm just thinking, mm, that's all in arts. Okay. So Gregory, there's this saying. I'm mixing in so many things in my mind right now. They say one man's food is another man's poison, or somebody. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So two people, they will not say necessarily agree that, oh, this thing is this place, this is beautiful, or this is looking beautiful. One person might think they may not call it ugly, the other person, but they might not like it as much as the other one. So there are these variations within us human beings, and I'm wondering, um, is there, um, and again, so many things are coming in my mind. Variety is the spice of life. So it's like no two human beings can do this. We are not meant to do the same thing. It doesn't make any sense. You are meant to do your own thing. So what do I ask about that? Um, Gregory, what's the purpose of this creativity then? Because the moment we talk about music and arts and poetry, it's like something to amuse us or make us feel happy. Um, is there something more? How can I say? Um, can I use the word productive? Or specific? Is there any more? What is the purpose of this? You could say these arts. Um, is it just to pass the time and just because you can't, well, the people do earn money from it, of course. There are people who do this in quotes as a profession. So but what is the purpose of this? It seems more for amusement. Is there any deeper purpose in these arts, Gregory?
The arts, basically, in their expressions, are pointers. The arts, like a picture, like every picture that is produced, every picture is a pointer. It's a pointer to that which is higher. Take, for instance, a picture of yourself only points to yourself at an instance because it has captured that picture as an instance. That picture does not give the full impression about you. It can give an impression of your height, how you look like. It doesn't give the picture of how you talk or of the intrinsic character that you have within. So that picture is only a pointer. Most of that which one is able to perceive with one's five senses, these are pointers to the intrinsic reality. In the case of music, when one listens to these pieces of music, it points to the reality of that which is higher. For it is the spirit that is able to appreciate that which is higher. Therefore, you have that when that impression strikes the spirit, it helps it to awaken. These pictures have a strong impression on the inner personality that helps them to awaken. For some, it brings joy. For some, it is to a large extent sorrow because it awakens some stronger impression. Both joy or sorrow always knock or impress on the human personality to wake up, to wake up to the greater reality. For the purpose of these is to stir the human personality to awake, to know what its responsibilities are. One should not forget that the human personality started as an unconscious spirit seed grain. Deep within have been sown talents which it needs to awaken. The first step along that direction is that of consciousness of the environment, consciousness of what is around it. In that case, that acts as an inspiration, just like someone who has been asleep. In order, it's only when it wakes up, begins to perceive, it only wakes up when these senses become active. For someone who has been asleep, when that person wakes up, then that person is in a position to enjoy what the day is and is able to make use of what it has gathered for further improvement. Subsequently, in the course of maturity of the human personality, it then moves from that state of consciousness to that of self-consciousness. Self, because it's an individual, and that which these talents which have been sown within it have now been awakened And when they are awakened and used vigorously in accordance with the will that has permitted and has placed these talents in there to be cultivated, then it becomes self conscious. In that state, it becomes being, a human being because it has awakened the talents which are sown within it. And in that case, it is able to cooperate with the forces, with the impressions, with the substances which it itself is a part of, and others are also a part of. Now, maybe it should become clear why it is one for all and all for one. Many a time one hears the impression, the expression, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. The eye of the beholder is only a metaphor for the sense, just like you have the sense of hearing, the sense of smell. So the beauty, the perception, which is in the eye, it only gives the strongest expression that is in using the expression that the individual needs to use to appreciate that which is beauty or not, that which is beautiful or not beautiful. So it's in that limb, it's in that sense, just like you have the five senses. After all, when you are able to smell a perfume, the smell of the perfume depends on how sensitive your sense of smell is. When you taste food, the taste of the food is in the maturity of the taste which you yourself have built up. So, taste is also in the bulbs, the ability to taste that. Taste in itself is there, but how the individual experiences it is different. That is how that expression, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, comes about. Not only beauty, because in the case of beauty, it concerns how things have been arranged, how the person perceives it using the eye. There's also that of smell. One might talk of the case of perfume. One would not expect one to compare eggs which are rotten with that of a very wonderful perfume. The same thing with music. Depending on how one has cultivated their sense of music, that means listening to it, because you need to use that tool as a measure, as a filter. The same thing happens either with hearing, music, seeing, smelling, with the five senses. Therefore, it should be taken seriously that The beholder is the one who gives the measure of his or lack of ability in these matters. There are some beholders who may visit a beautiful park, but they prefer a wild forest, uncultivated, because that is their state of maturity.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this, I can say, again, the picture you're painting for us and really giving us the way of seeing this concept of beauty and or appreciation of beauty uh, according to our own level of maturity and you know so everything this is showing how individual and unique, or if I use the word unique in quotes, just our, we see the way we see, each person differently. So not to put anybody down, because that it's not about, oh, you're this level, this other person is another higher level, or it's not putting anybody down. That's where people are, and that's where what they see, and you can't sort of shift what I see with another person. It's I see what I see, and the other person see what they see, and only if they, you know, come to that same place, or like the same way of looking, then they will see the same. So that's the point here. So thank you for that. Dear listeners, I want to let you know you're listening to Bless Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abdushin. If you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message for yourself, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, message.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the creative human being. The creative human being. If you have any questions or comments, you can contact us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's one more way to contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, that's the number one.com. If you scroll down on the homepage, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I said, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, that's the number one.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number one, space live stream. This is for our live show, which is on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to the recording of this show the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number one again, space Grail Message, space the topic of the show, which tonight is the creative human being. And of course, you can listen to a recording of our previous shows as well, again on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno. That's Zeno dot FM /plus radio one. That's the number one again. Now, Gregory, we've been talking about this process of creativity that we human beings have this ability, using our intuition, and also we can have inspiration there. And we are when we use the word creating, we are saying really we are forming by joining and combining elements of things that already exist, with our thoughts, with our basically ideas. Like we gave the example of music and art, so, that we can do that. And what I was thinking, Gregory, there's another field that we are active in, which is, on this earth, which is, let's say, um, uh, building or inventing, you know, structures, let's say buildings, bridges, variety of structures, let's call it, we can create. And then you mentioned about beauty just moments ago. They can be beautiful, these bridges, for example. Um, Maybe sometimes they're even ugly, some of them. And similarly with buildings, we can see that as well. Now, there's another aspect I'm thinking of. Um, Gregory, we have many ideas or thoughts, but not every one of such ideas manifests into the physical world. Um, so we have this will, but sometimes it doesn't manifest whatever we wish or will. And I was wondering, what could be the reason for that? Is it we are not putting enough effort um, for something to manifest? People use this. I have heard the word manifest used in some sort of technique, but I don't mean it as a technique. I just mean we want something, and then in some cases these things do materialize, if I can use it that way, and other cases they don't materialize. Our wishes sometimes. So is it the reason is, Gregory, if it doesn't materialize, is it because we haven't put the right effort into it, or maybe it's something like I was going to use the word an impossible idea that cannot be manifested? Uh, but it's not always that way. I will say we have wishes that we want to achieve. uh, I mean, which are possible, not a fantasy, but somehow it doesn't manifest, doesn't come about. So um, in a way, part of my question is saying, is there some limitation in our creativity that we can't manifest or produce some result that you would like to produce?
Of course, there are limits in our creativity, and there are many limits. For one to manifest a particular quote unquote creativity, the need is there to understand the environment in which that form which needs to manifest, that environment in which this form will persist. There are forms which persist very fleetingly, and that's the case where people don't give enough thoughts. They just think about it and that's it. No further efforts. That is one category. There are the other types in which the individual must perceive of something. However, that what has been perceived has not been considered appropriately how that will fit in within the current states of development, and therefore nothing happens. But in most cases, the laws of development, which are intrinsic parts of the laws of creation, are not even understood aright. Therefore, you find fleeting thoughts here and there, and that's all. For one who wishes to become a musician or a singer, the need is there to start with simplicity, not complex songs, to consider the simplest of songs and repeat it again and again, different verses, different types. Only through such will the person becomes a master in expressing that particular type of thoughts, that type of thought in words, or in words which are drawn out, or words which are elongated, which is basically what one does in singing. Only very few are capable in patience and perseverance in seeing that through. For some, the slightest way in which they need to exert themselves, indeed, they give up. Therefore, you ask yourself, how can such come to maturity when, with the smallest challenge, they already give up?
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this again answer and picture you're giving, painting for us. Um, I was wondering, some people, Gregory, are more talented than others, and it's like a natural gift for in terms of creativity. If you're talking about, let's say, talent in arts and so on, um, can one train and develop this creativity in a particular field, or is it, in other words, can you learn? Um, you know, how can I put it? Are some people, Gregory, born with talent um, in this one, let's say, particular field? Because nobody is, I will say, nobody is a master of all trades. There could be a jack of all trades, but not a master. Uh, More normally, people are master of one trade. So, in terms of creativity, is it um, we are born with a talent, uh, like a set talent? If I don't know how to put it, the word set talent, because sounds very too much controlling. But anyway, yeah, is there some, Gregory, born with it, like born with this talent, a talent, and others uh, not with that talent? And can those who are not born with it, can they develop? Maybe can I say to the same level as the people who are like born with it? Oh, are you there, Gregory?
Yes, I am. I was on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Many of the things people consider others have been born with are carryovers from previous earth lives or stays or in lives in other realms where they have been practicing all this. So it's just a continuity. So it will be wrong to just consider one earth life and then draw conclusions. Oh, this person is born with it. Of course, it started from somewhere. After some time, you find that when that person had matured along that direction and has given his or her best, moves on to other things. So one should be considering holistic views rather than partial views, as that someone was born into something without having the whole picture.
Thanks for that, Gregory. I want to look at another aspect now. It is said in the Bible that man is made in the image of God, and God, God is our creator, and He created, let's say, this creation, the world we live, and we are part of this creation. So when it is said we are made in the image of God, does it mean we are like a faint reflection of the Creator in the sense of that? Um, I mean, we do not make a universe as human beings. The Creator does that, has done this, or made a creation. But we, on a lower level, if I can say, can how can I say? I know we can make a home or even cities. Um, you know. Um, so are we doing a little mini? I don't know how to put this in a way. Are we trying to, let's say, I'm going to use the word copy, but it sounds a bit silly. But anyway, I will say it. Are we trying to copy what God is doing? I don't know how what when it is said we are made in an image. That's where I'm coming from.
The biggest challenge that many a person has is understanding right what that expression image really means. One can already consider that a picture of yourself is more of an image, but that image has no life. That precise expression, that image has no life. Therefore, unless that which is life grants the image the opportunities, then you'll find the image is useless. It is that which is life that grants the power to the image. That which is referred to as image basically has to do with substantiality of a different category. The image without substantiality, how there is nothing. That which one may even bring into a picture image, that must be attached to a substance. So the image which is mentioned, which is referred to in biblical writings or whatever writings, is referring to substantiality of the Almighty. There is no image, for the Almighty is unsubstantiate, whereas that which is perceptible, which can be put into a picture, be referred to that with an image. Therefore, it has been a wrong impression to keep using the word image without understanding what the image is. The image has no life unless that which is life breathes a spark, breathes into the image, which is substantiality, in accordance with his will. Only then does the image have some form of motion to exist. Should the image develop in accordance with the will, it now moves from that state of unconsciousness, that state of unawareness, to the state of awareness, and subsequently to the state of personal awareness. Because that which is life grants the opportunity to that which is substantiate, which can take on form. More of this, many a listener or a reader can examine that work, which work in the light of truth. For light and truth, these belong to him that permitted creation to come into existence.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer you've given. What I'm seeing here is there's a power of God, of the Almighty, streaming into this world, creation that we live in. And we human beings have the privilege to be able to direct it, one direction or another direction, through our free will. And this is how we form our fate, by directing this power through our decisions. And we can make, you can say, good decision, or do good with the power, or we can do harm. And also we can, we as I was saying earlier, each of us human beings, we don't think the same. Somebody looking at the picture, they will appreciate, let's say, ABC, and another person will be EFG, different items, because that's how we are, individual. And so it doesn't mean ABCD is better than the EFG. Just that's how we see it. Now, I'm thinking, Gregory, especially in our world today, people are affected by the opinions of others, uh, comments, you can say, um, especially with this social media and so on. And maybe even people are looking for popularity. I don't know if they're looking for popularity or not, but maybe some people are. And then in that sense, they're influenced that, oh, this is the way they should do something. But they might have their own idea how they want to proceed. So this is becoming like a dilemma when you have conflicting, you could say, ideas of how to do something. But it's your, let's say, how you perform a song, you know, uh, dressing, whatever is involved in this performing, and as I said, different people having different ideas about how to do a song. So you might be the singer, but then there's the producer and other people all around, all having an input. And so basically, they will have different ideas to you, and then you have to make a decision how to proceed with these dissenting voices. And also, you want to respect other people. So, you know, but if you do that, in quotes, respect them, you might be bowing to what you want. Sorry, bowing to them rather than doing what you want. Um, now, um, so what I'd like to ask there, how do you proceed in this scenario, Gregory? Do you listen to other people's opinion, or do you do your own thing? Because we have to work together in this world. Because you're not living in your own world, you have these other people around, and then it looks like if you do that, you listen to others, you are compromising, and that doesn't sound very nice. uh, because it's not we're talking about creativity. So you have your idea of what you'd like to do in your creative mind, and then some other people have their own idea. So, and you have to work with them. So, Gregory, when is this sort of scenario, um, what would you do? Let's say I just say one. What would one do in this sort of situation? So, as I say, I was going to say more dramatic. Your life is in other people's hands. I don't mean it directly like this, but let's say you're not completely in control of your own. This is talking about career, I'm saying here, because you can also make individual decision on something else, which is only concerning you. But here, this is like, as I say, more than one. You're not the only one around. So, Gregory, how do you deal with this scenario, this situation, when you have, in quotes, differences of views in this type of activity?
Sorry, I'm not quite clear what the question is about.
Okay, so I'm thinking of a singer who is has some idea, artistic, where they want to do something to perform the song, and then they are surrounded by a team of other people who are in, like, say, let's call it a company. They are directing this performance as a part of that. They're holding the performance, or they're organizing, whatever the word is. They're producing. Let's call it producing, and they have different ideas to you as the singer. And so this is the scenario, and you're like in other people's hand in this sort of scenario, part of your thing, and you're wondering which way to move. You do what you want, like, in quotes, if I can say, stubbornly doing what you want to do, or do you, in quotes, compromise to what the wishes of the producer, if I can say producer, that's the way I can think of it. And then I don't know if that is satisfying anybody, both sides, or is a compromise. That's what I'm trying to say. So should one, in quotes, compromise, or should one do only what one wishes?
Such a scenario as you have painted, one must look at the different parts. The case in which the so-called singer can produce by himself, listens to his music the way he wishes, that is his own personal decision. But that so-called producer or singer is not the only person who will listen to his music, but others have to listen to the music. And sometimes it is helpful to have those nearest to you to listen first. There is flexibility for the person who is in quotes composing the music. Is not the only person who is going to listen to it. And there could be many pieces of music which have been composed which will never see the light of day. So there is the need to work with others. How the person needs to work with others must be born out of personal experiences with these people. As long as they have the same aim to make the music reachable to a wider audience, then the person who is basically involved must know that he or she and she alone cannot do that, but needs to work with others in order to reach a wider audience. So it's not a matter of, oh, I'm compromising or I'm not compromising. The reality reveals itself that there are some people who will also participate in propagating this peace to reach others. And those people who are involved in that activity also have some contribution.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for giving this, again, the picture. I use the word picture, but showing us, this word flexibility you pointed out there, in any situation. It's not about one person having to win and others losing. We're working together, as you say, all for one and one for all. So just because you have some, let's say, big idea, doesn't mean that everybody has to just fall down into that idea. Maybe they can give a contribution which can refine it, and you don't know, you couldn't think of that yourself. So it's not about compromising, but flexibility. I think that's a very good word. So thank you for that. I want to let the listeners know you're listening to Blessed Radio, and this is the Tuesday evening spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Uprushin. And if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. I'll spell it, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. And the topic that we're discussing tonight is the creative human being. The creative human being. You're welcome to join us with any questions or comments by contacting us on our UK number, which is 079 39 641 958. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 004479 39 641 958. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And there's another way you can contact us, which is by going to the website where we are broadcasting. That is blessradio1, the number one.com. And if you scroll down on the homepage, you will see a box called Bless Chat. There you can type in any questions or comments. And as I said, we are broadcasting on Bless Radio 1, the number one.com. We are also broadcasting on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1. That's again the number one there. Space live stream. That is for our live show, which is broadcast on Tuesday evenings, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time. You can also listen to a recording of this show, which is the next day. Again, go to youtube.com and type in the search box Bless Radio 1, that's the number one again, space, Grail Message, space, the topic of the show, which tonight is the creative human being. And of course, you can listen to a recording of our other previous shows also on YouTube. Thirdly, we are broadcasting on Zeno, that's ZENO.FM/Bless Radio 1. That's the number one again. Now, Gregory, we talked about inspiration. Well, if you look around us, especially in the natural world, with landscapes, rivers, mountains, so on, and plants, animals, trees, and flowers, and probably more. All these, you could say, natural beings and places, they are beautiful. I mean, some may look a little ugly, but there's something beautiful in them, in the way they operate, you can say, and the way they work, and so on. And of course, man or humanity has been, in many ways, copying or learning from nature or working with nature. Not always working with nature, but many times we work with nature to, in a way to produce what we are doing, That's how we get our inspiration, you can say. And we have developed technology, we're good in that. And of course, we make monuments and buildings and so on that are also can be very appealing. So we have been able to do something as human beings through our creative ways. Now, I'm just thinking, Gregory, is but somehow, let's say, they say when we make something, it's called artificial, and what nature makes, there's something you could, if I can put it, it like radiates. It's a shiny way of when you touch and feel the natural product, if I can use the word products. There's some difference between that and what human beings, which are artificial products that we make. So there's something there which makes it not as I don't know if the word is appealing, but different, And so I'm wondering there, Gregory, are we meant to sort of, how can I say, can we do something to sort of, if I can say, replicate nature in the same way because let's say rivers flowing and things like that, landscape that nature makes, or are we meant to do something different like we do already, Gregory? Because sometimes, as I say, it doesn't we don't seem to the natural ways are, let's say, they always seem to appeal, and they seem to have everything seems to work perfectly, if I can say. With the man's ways, it's not always. I know we do trial and error, but even after doing that, we don't seem to achieve perfection. Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. And nature seems to be able to achieve perfection. If I can, everything has a recyclable, and there's whatever the waste is, some other animal or something will use it for other purposes. But human beings seem to just do their own thing, and many times it has a harmful effect compared to what nature is producing. So I'm wondering, are we meant to sort of work with nature somehow, Gregory, to make things, um, more? I don't want to use the word environmentally friendly, but something that is more. Uh, um, I'm using the word perfection, but it's not exactly, because sometimes that means it might have a wrong idea in it. I just mean, Gregory, that something has benefits and not so damaging. You know, um, can human beings achieve anything like that? That's what nature can achieve. That's what I'm wondering.
Of course, human beings can achieve much better than what nature has provided on the conditions that their activities resonate with the laws of creation, the laws of nature. Why the works of the human personalities have been ugly is basically that there is no thorough reflection on the consequences of their activities. That which is referred to as nature is only the domain or the expression of the works of nature beings. That means there are a category of beings who walk in the world of matter, and because they are beings, they do not have a free will, just as we human personalities have. And therefore, the radiations, the blessings which are radiations that stream through creation, through nature, through the world of matter, are so constituted and utilized in such a way that these radiations resonate with the laws of nature or of creation, where all that is permitted to come into existence is beneficial for all. Whereas with man, in his or her short sightedness, because he has the free will, it sometimes does many things, not sometimes, or most of the time, embark on activities without due reflection. And it turns out that most of these areas of activities become one sided because it hasn't given enough thoughts about what could happen or what the effect of these radiations will be, not only on himself, but also on others. That type of one sidedness subsequently produces that which is ugly and harmful to the environment and even to man himself. So, should the individual wish to proceed with something that will be beneficial for all, then it must reflect, it must weigh very carefully and examine not only his intuition, his thoughts and deeds, but also it has to ensure that they resonate with this will of the Almighty, which is expressed as the laws of creation, such that it will be beneficial to all, not only for a short period, but continuously.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. Um, while you've been talking, I've actually received a question from a listener. I think it's two questions. To read it out fully, and then we can address one at a time. So it says the first listener is asking: is childlikeness related to creativity? And the second question is: do human beings tend to be more creative when they are younger, and perhaps they lose this creativity as they age? So let me repeat that, Gregory. Is childlikeness related to creativity?
Of course, there is a connection between childlikeness and so called creativity. That which is referred to or which expresses itself as childlike is basically inner purity. That inner purity that has the trust such that its activities will resonate with the laws of creation, such that there will be no one-sidedness. There is that trust which is tied to it. And it is that trust, that firm trust, that one may sometimes call purity, because there will be no excesses. Only that which is needed is considered. And in these, there are also checks and balances. Therefore, one may also hold the view that childlikeness is connected to creativity. Because of its purity, it's able to reach many a height, is unblemished, whereas the lack of childlikeness would not go far. You will find many a time the objects needed for creativity, they are already around, but the personality is not simple enough, it's not childlike enough to pick these little elements, these substances, and join them together in trust. Therefore, what is produced by those who do not follow that childlikeness turns out to be things that are grotesques.
Thanks a lot, Gregory, for this answer. The listener's second question, I would like to ask this. It says: do humans tend to be more creative when they are younger, and perhaps lose this creativity as they age?
It will not be right to say they lose creativity as they age, because the individual who retains his or her childlikeness does not lose this creativity, but he matures in it. The problem is the arrogance which sets in once the individual considers that he has achieved or he is capable of achieving that which is quite remarkable. That individual becomes highly intellectual and ignores the little things about him or within him. And in many cases, this is the case as people grow up. But the adult who retains that trust and childlikeness does not lose any creativity. In fact, it's more like a more matured wine. Whereas in the other case, where the person becomes puffed up, proud, not considering things very carefully, as he or she would have done when it retains childlikeness, then you have structures which are produced are grotesque. So it is true that many, as they grow older and all that, lose their childlikeness. In that case, they lose their creativity as such. But it would be wrong to just say as people grow old and they lose their creativity. No, there are many that are still there, that still produce outstanding work, even in their so-called old age.
Thanks for that, Gregory. I've got one more question because the show is coming to an end now. It's a little bit different one. Um, what I'm thinking, we say all for one and one for all. That sounds very good when, let's say, two peoples or people are cooperating and thinking like the same way, and then they want to, you know, go forward like that together. But then we notice, um, many human beings seem to want to be into some power struggle with others and saying we need, if we are not strong, we will be sort of overtaken by others. And so they think of some cunning tricks, if I can say, to lull their, if I can use the word enemies or fellow human beings, really, into some sort of trap, where because they think this, if we don't have this power, we will lose our freedom and peace and happiness. This is what they think. And so I'm wondering there, Gregory, when you say all for one and one for all, when you have such uh, people who are having some oppose, who are having a totally different attitude, if I can say, to that, can we really achieve that all for one and for one for all? If can you cooperate with such people?
All for one and one for all only applies to those with the same goal. Those who have the same goal, like the human spirit gems, all human spirit gems that have been permitted to wander through creation have the same goal of becoming self-conscious. So wherever you have two persons having that same goal spiritually, in thoughts, in deeds, then it holds. For you have, in the case of a human personality, that person didn't come into this world alone, came through someone. That person needs other people to work with. That person is not the doctor, the driver, the musicians, all by himself. He plays his music. He, he administers healthcare for himself and everything. That is not the case. So whether the human personality realizes it or not, or awakens to it or not, the human spirit gem needs the all for one and one for all, because that is the goal of that's of awareness, personal consciousness of the talents sown within it. And that can only come about when they work with others to develop that which have been sown within them. Because in working with others, they exchange radiations. They come to understand their neighbors. For on the long run, for those who have become self-conscious, they will also participate in the new spirit gems who now have to proceed to become conscious. But because in their maturity, those who have already gone through that experience now know how to advise in their activities of the ones who are just beginning that particular journey. If they themselves had not experienced it, haven't gone through it, then it will be challenging for the ones who are just coming in to be advised appropriately. So it is the fulfillment of the will of the Almighty. That is why you hear the expression, one for all and all for one.
Thanks very much, Gregory, for this clarification about this all for one and one for all. Um, it can only apply in certain case, specific condition, not you know any condition. So thank you for that. Um, Now we've come to the end of the show, listeners, and hope you've enjoyed the topic of discussion on the creative human being. And I just I'm going to read only a short part of the Grail Message, the first, let's say, page, I'm going to call it, which is, this is not time, I'm not reading for your guidance, it's something before that, actually. And it says, free yourselves from all darkness. He who makes no effort to grasp the word of the Lord aright burdens himself with guilt. So these are the words of Abrushin in the Grail Message. And I want to let you know, if you wish to know more about the Grail Message or want to get a copy of the Grail Message, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. And I'll just spell that, www.grail, Grail, message, MESSAGE.com. Gregory, is there anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing everybody well.
Very good. Same from me, listeners. Wishing you well. Have a great week. Next Tuesday, I cannot promise if it'll be me or someone else there because I'm going abroad and I'm not quite sure how good the internet connection is. But if it is okay, I will be there. And if I'm not there, somebody's going to cover for me. So we will find out next week, I guess, what that will be. But what we know is there will be another topic, and Gregory will be there. So we look forward to that. Take care, everybody. Good night, and God bless.